looking at, you know, the rumors, the mock drafts that are out there, it feels like obviously, one, everybody knows where it's going to be after that. Two, three, four, maybe even five seems to have the same players, but after that, it's all over the place. So, and it's exciting when it's that way. It's exciting that there's a lot of different possibilities.
I know last year, obviously, you take a swing with a guy that you think has high end potential. And you talked about trying to get more elite level talent in the system. Are you more willing to? How do I ask this? Makes sense. Are you willing to take a bigger chance on a guy that you think has maybe a higher ceiling but also a lower floor? Does that make
It's
sense?
yeah, it's funny. You're evaluating all kinds of things when it comes to that. When you take a swing on a guy that has a really high ceiling, you counter that with, how much uh risk you're leaving out there. Obviously we're all for it, and we showed that last year with Madfay, that we're willing to go there, and if there's something that makes sense, again, kind of the same way, we will. Um, no, but it's not just a swing. It's not just a talent. There's all kinds of things that come into play. The talent level is an important one. The skating. I don't want to go, because it's never going to be about that, position. But obviously, a center has, in general, more value. Teams want centers. They're a lot tougher to find. So you got to respect that as well when you're making your pick and you're evaluating the players.
You spoke a little bit to the idea of need. You mentioned center. Obviously, that's a big organizational need, not just at the NHL level, but
Yeah.
in the system as well. Every GM basically says, especially at the top of the draft, you're going best player available. But
Mhm.
are you guys in a situation where maybe if it's like a tie and if the two guys are real close, you might lean towards the center because of the organizational need?
Yes, I mean that's, if they're equal and we have a hard time deciding between two players and one's a wing, one's a center, we might lean in to a center because, let's face it, we're lacking centers coming up, throughout the organization. That's we haven't tried to hide that. It's a reality. But we're also not going to reach out. If there's someone that makes too much sense, even if it's a winger per se, because we have a lot of good young players on the wing, on the team, or in the minors or in the system. We still want to, you know, swing hard if the chance is there.
Yeah, as everyone knows, the trade talks tend to heat up around the NHL draft. You guys moved Kevin Hayes last year, a day before. I'm just curious, what's the dialogue been like a week out, and do you expect it to pick up for you guys coming closer?
Well, you guys, it was nice and quiet, and I could enjoy my days until yesterday. So you guys kind of changed that all of a sudden. You guys freaked out a lot of other people around the league. So I've had a lot more work in the last, 24 hours. But I think it's normal too. As you get closer to the draft, that's when things heat up. Last year we jumped on something early, with Columbus and LA. We saw yesterday there was a few trades happening. I wouldn't say there's anything imminent in our case at this point. But I expect things to keep ramping up, and if it makes sense, we're gonna jump on it.
You've said openly that you guys have been open for business last summer, and do you guys still feel the same way that you're going to listen on everything?
Yes, absolutely. And it hasn't changed for us. We're still, looking to acquire assets that are going to help us in the future. We know where we're at as a team. It was awesome what happened last year, playing games that mattered all the way to game 82, even though we missed. But we realize we're not a Stanley Cup contender yet. We still have lots of work, and the future is still what we're targeting.
Danny, the since the pandemic, the NHL salary cap has made it a little bit more difficult on front offices. But now that we're moving past that and the cap's rising, do you expect that to affect the off-season strategy around the league or make things more active?
Well, I can't speak for around the league, but for us, I'll be very honest here. We don't expect to do much on free agency day. The reality is, we have a lot of dead money going into year two and of my tenure. But that was the plan also. We acquire assets to help us for the future, like picks and stuff. So, this summer is going to be tough. Next summer it should ease up a little bit, but we're still going to be in a little bit of a crunch. But we're looking for towards the future. I think it's going to hopefully get easier, and as the cap rises, hopefully again next summer, no, that's going to help us.
Does the Capitals buying cap friendly affect anything from your guys' business side or you
No,
guys
not
all?
for us. We have our own system, so it doesn't change anything for us at all.
Danny, when it comes to free agency, are you planning to qualify all the RFAs that you have right now?
All of them on the Flyers, yes. That's the plan. Obviously the one caveat to that is, Carter Hart. We're still, waiting for guidance from the NHL on that.
At Gary Bettman and Daly's presser during the Stanley Cup final, though, they did say it was up to the teams.
I did see that, but we haven't received any guidance. That was said publicly. We haven't been told to do that yet, so we're still waiting for guidance from them as far as what we can do and what it is and how it works out.
Just on if you do qualify him
We're-
to see if you get the cap relief like you did this year to follow over.
That's all part of it. Yeah, that's all part of it. What we're allowed to do, if there's relief, if there's rights, how it works for rights in the future. So there's a lot of questions surrounding the situation that we're hoping to have a little bit more direction on.
Danny, you've obviously done one draft thus far as general manager of the team. Other GMs here, you have a long background where we can sort of, as writers, we can evaluate kind of tendencies and whatnot. But for you, it's a little bit tougher because we just have the one. So I guess if you were kind of to evaluate your personal draft philosophy,
Yeah.
what are the things that you tend to like about players? If you have not necessarily biases, but what do you look for in a draft prospect?
Diversity. You can't have all the same. That's my belief. There's teams that have certain tendencies. I hope that we can diversify and kind of bring all kinds of types of players, smaller, bigger, faster, more hockey sense. Those are probably some of the things we look at. The hockey sense is an important one. The speed in today's game is an important one. Um, um, Position, you also try to diversify as much as possible. Try to, my belief is early in the draft, you try not to have the position dictate too much on the player. You want to go and take the best players available. But as you get deeper into the draft, you try to fill needs that you might have for the organization a little bit more.
Sorry. Yes, Pete Jones called next draft a very important draft, and that you guys have two firsts in that draft. That's very important. Will you guys be looking to maybe acquire more picks for that draft, just given how good it appears to be?
You're talking about this summer?
Sorry, 2025 draft. Yeah,
25.
this summer, will there be a focus on maybe getting 2025 picks, just given how?
Yeah, well, I think to us, there's, when we talked about the rebuild last year, there's like the three following draft from the time we started in May or April last year. Those next three drafts, we had a lot of picks in, and we acquired a few more. I think we have 10 last year. we have 10 picks this year. We have 10 picks next year. Two firsts last year. We have two firsts in the moment this year, two firsts at the moment next year. So those are really critical drafts for us when you're, doing a rebuild, especially now in the cap era where it's really tough to go out and sign free agents. Um, that's kind of what we hope to be the base for us, moving forward. So they're critical drafts, and there's still going to be a really strong focus on that. If we have the chance to, acquire more picks, it has to make sense at the same time. Um, and to be honest with you, we're looking at all kinds of things. We're looking to possibly move up with certain picks. We're looking to move back. Obviously, if we move up, we might have to give up a pick or two. But if the value is worth it to move up, to give up a pick on the back end, we're to acquire a player that or pick a player that we really love, we'll jump on it. On the flip side, if there's a clump of players that we feel comfortable with, we might try to move back to acquire more assets, either later in the draft or next year. So everything's on the table for us. We're looking at all kinds of options. When I talk to teams, we're not stuck in just one mode of trying to move up or trying to move back. I know there's teams that have called and said, look, we want more picks, so we're looking to move back and just get more shots. But we have the picks, so it gives us more possibilities to do either or for us. But again, the three drafts, 24, 23, 24, and 25, are going to be critical for our future.
Columbus
And
has
is there an indication with the second round pick you got from Columbus if they're going to defer it to next year?
I know, I can't wait. So if any of you find out anything, please let me know. We're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And I mean, Don Waddell just got there, so he's got a lot on his plate. He's trying to figure out what he's going to do and what it looks like. So I can't speak for them. They got that option. We'll be prepared as if we have to pick. But it would be nice to know, going near the end of the first round, strategy wise, if we only have one or if we have two, in that clump at 32 and 36. So we don't know yet. We hope to have an answer, but I mean, it's their right. They don't have to tell us. They have an hour until the end of the first round.
Is June 30th the official deadline for whether or not that finish up over, or is there a chance? Like, does it have to be that June 30th date?
No, as far as I know, I don't have a date. So, we're kind of the mercy of what they decide to do over there with him. I wish, if you would have asked me, and you probably did at the end of the season, maybe that wasn't out there, but maybe a couple weeks after the season when those rumors started swirling, I'd probably say, well, we should know by the end of June, and here we are now getting closer to it, and we still don't know much more. So I don't have much more of an answer, but for us, it doesn't change. If they tell us he's coming on September 1st, we'll jump on it. The mindset for us is still we're going into next season without him. He has 2 years left on his contract, and if something changes from today until then, then we'll certainly be happy. But I don't have much news on that. We read what's going on, and we hope for the best.
There are quite a few, not a ton, but at least a few, quality Russian prospects at the top of this draft. Would you guys, because obviously you've had to navigate these waters, with Fedotov, now with Michkov, does that give you guys maybe more confidence in taking a Russian because you have the experience? You obviously have the scout on the ground too over there.
I mean, it didn't scare us in the past, so I think you have your answer there. But again, it has to make sense, and we're evaluating, the risk and the return and all of that. But we've shown that if it does make sense, we will go there. There's certainly at the top of the draft again some really good players that are from Russia. We're trying to build the best hockey team. So, you know, and where we're at, it might be a little bit more feasible for us at the moment because of what our timeline and what we're trying to do. And we're aware of, you know, the Stanley Cup right away next year might be a stretch for us. So we have a little bit more time there if it's, but don't forget too, if you draft a guy in juniors, we'll take Oliver Bunk for example. Now people made a big stink of Matvei Mishka, but Oliver Bunk is almost on the same time frame. Is most likely going to play another year of juniors. He might need a 1 year of minor league, so they might come up here with the Flyers right around the same time. So, you know, sometimes you have to be careful with that. Players need time to develop, and I really one of the things that I believe and I've experienced myself, development is critical with those guys, and I'd rather have a player playing in juniors 25, 30 minutes and a year in the minors or two in the minors playing heavy minutes where they become the guy they're put in situation to learn how to be, you know, the top power play guy or the top centerman and taking big face-offs rather than come here, play on the Flyers. Yeah, it's impressive. And I know every player wants that at 18 or 19 years old. I remember being there, you know, being upset because I had to, you know, do the bus rides for 4 years in the minors after turning pro. Um, you know, but I think it's so critical for the development of players to give them the chance to be in those situations. So when they arrive in the NHL, they can handle it. And playing 6, 7, 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes on the fourth line, it, you know, I don't see that that's really helpful in the long-term plan of the development of a player.
Different GMs have varying degrees of how much they get involved watching these prospects in person, right? How much did you see these guys? Are you between you and Jonesy, I guess? I mean, I ran into you the one, I think you were going to Toronto to see a kid, right? How much did you get out yourself to see some of these guys that potentially you pick?
Well, first of all, it's an area that I love. You know, and I did a lot of it before being GM. That was one of my favorite part of the job was you know, going around the minor league and junior ranks and the U18 tournaments and you know, World Juniors a little older, but still prospects. So I love that part of the game. So as much as I can, I try to, but I can't just focus on that. What I try to do is to try to see at least the top 40 to 50 prospects that are out there. You know, I might have the chance to see them once, maybe twice. So I rely a lot on our scouts because they've seen them, you know, 15 times from some of them, and the viewings combined with all the scouts might be up in the 30s or 40s on all those players. So I try to respect that a lot. I do have an opinion, but I rely on our guys a lot, and they're the ones that are going to kind of dictate in which direction. Yes, I do have the last say, but these guys put so much time. They know a lot more about the players than I do. For me, it's more about having an idea of who we're drafting. That's why I like seeing the player. I like to have an idea of what they look like, how type of style that they play. I like doing the combine in Buffalo, so I get to see a little bit of their personality, even though we only have about 20 minutes with each player. But just having an idea of who we're drafting, you know, not enough to really pound my fist on the table and say, no, we're taking this guy. That's not my style. From day one here, you know, one of the things that Dan Halfordy has stressed is, you know, we collaborate on everything, and I need help when it comes to the draft, and I rely a lot on our scouts. I think we have one of the best scouting team led by Brent Flair, so I trust him and his team a lot.
Danny, how important is it when you talk about a rebuild to talk to these players to understand that they are going to be part of a rebuild and the mental process, I guess is what I'm asking, to understand
Our current players, you
yes,
mean?
no,
Yeah.
no, players that you may draft.
Oh, okay.
To understand not just the physical, but the mental part of rebuilding and being part of the process. How important is that when you talk to a player?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity and for them, then that's kind of how we sell it. If you know, with the Flyers, if you sell yourself to the Flyers and we draft you, you have a great opportunity here. You know, you get, you know, there's teams that are chasing the cup right now. The opportunities are smaller, and for us, it's wide open. You know, we're building towards the future. So if you put the time in, um, you have the chance to be part of something special. That's kind of the message we tell the players, you know, when we meet with them. Does that answer the question? So that's what, you know, we tell them. It's your great opportunity for you if you're willing to put the time in to develop and get to be the best player you can be. Take care of yourself on and off the ice. You know, it's right there in front of you.
Signed a couple of older European players. Were you look because they do, at least body type wise, have some similarities. Were you looking to add more size, you know, to the depth pool, or
Yeah.
just these guys who, you know, potentially could, you know, step in the way that a Bellemare or Michael Raffle did back
That's what we hoped. We hope that these guys, a little bit of late bloomers, you know, and on top of it, they have size, which is something that, you know, we're especially on the wing, we're a little smaller, so you know, it's something that we wanted to address a little bit more. Just even, you know, some of the guys coming, and it goes back to your question earlier, like you try to have diversity. Um, you know, Abels is a centerman as well. You know, we're a little thin coming up down the middle, so that was part of the reason as well. So yeah, these guys have been playing well, and we feel that they'll have a chance eventually to play here. You know, will it work? I mean, it's up to them, but there's certainly some upside there.
You signed Lappy to a 2-year extension
Yep.
yesterday. I guess what, you know, in your mind, what has he done down there that I guess earned the extension?
Yeah, the development is critical where we're at. Lappy's been part of this organization, understands this organization. He understands what our fans want and need. You know, and he's been one of those guys. I think he was a 7th round pick. He might get mad at me if he was lower than that, but you know, he had to fight for everything. He earned everything throughout his career, and to have a guy like that, he can walk into a room, you know, and as a coach, kind of, he can look at someone and say, you know what, that next shot, you better get on your knees and stop it with your face because he's done it. Not a lot of people can do that. So, you know, I think he gets a lot of respect from his players because he's one of those guys that did everything possible to be the best player he could be. Was the one that was always there to protect his teammates. So having a guy like Lappy is for the development of our player, and you know, it's a big asset. Thanks, guys.